The fourth tenet, our relationship with food. Food is something that nourishes you, entices your senses, provides nutrition, creates community, and keeps this beautiful miracle of our body running. Food is fuel, but at the same time food is also nutrition. And that is necessarily not the same thing. Let me explain. Food as nutrition sometimes might not engage your senses. It could be a really bitter tasting tonic, but you absolutely have to have it. But at that point it has not really engaged your senses. But food as fuel will engage your senses and also be nutritious. The reason why we get addicted to things which are usually not good for us is because we are creating comfort in the form of an external source that you can control. If you were unable to control the food, then you would not be able to find solace in it. That's one angle. And the other angle is the absolute ingredients or the constituents of the food, which in fact is pretty demonic. It makes you crave for more. So let us dissect a piece of chocolate. So chocolate has been associated with a lot of amorous activity. You always get chocolate and red roses on the hallmark holiday of Valentine's Day. Chocolate is also a beautiful bite at the end of a meal. Taken in small quantities, darker the chocolate, the better it is for you. However, most people are not addicted to the chocolate. They are addicted to the milk, the emulsifying liquids and other solids maybe, and other dairy contents, components, and sugar, which embraces the cacao. When we did Machu Picchu, we saw a lot of cacao. Most people hated that drink. But a lot of those people love chocolate. It's the way the chocolate is presented so as to engage your tongue. I personally went on a chocolate moratorium this year for about 3 months. I must confide that it was horrific the first 3 days. Then I told myself, and constantly putting different people on different moratoriums, I should practice what I preach. So let me completely give up chocolate, which means all chocolate, no drinking chocolate, no tiramisu, no other forms of chocolate, no chocolate chip cookies. And believe me, suddenly I feel like we live in a world that is made of chocolate. Everything seems to have chocolate in it. The option of flavors for ice cream is chocolate or vanilla. And I'm thinking vanilla, I'm not 95 years old. I have other tastes. I have finesse and fine taste. Why am I not being able to have my chocolate? And I said, I'm doing this as a challenge to myself. The greatest way to overcome something that has consumed you is with your mind. There's no other way to do it. You can tell yourself these stories, write yourself a lot of journals, engage yourself in poetry, but if your heart skips a beat on day 4 of your moratorium, where there's a chance you can sneak in a piece of chocolate, and you succumb to it, it means you're an addict. I almost was there on day 4. And I told myself I'm bigger than this piece of chocolate. And it's really mind over matter at that point. You know, and you can do it. This was really one of the biggest experiments I have imposed upon myself. See, I can do just fine on a fast for several days. No problem. Complete fast, just water, nothing else. But this chocolate, this little piece of inanimate bliss, was consuming me. And it was consuming me only because I was giving him or her permission to do so. And I say him or her with absolute poetic license because hims are like the chocolates with nuts in it, you know. The hers are like the chocolates that are filled with ganache. So there are lots of him and her chocolates, and I was appeased by both sexualities of chocolate to a seemingly high degree that I was addicted. And I would do a lot of these 12-step programs on myself. I love the 12-step program, by the way, for alcoholism and overeating, and it's a beautiful book. So I would look at myself and say, my name is Vaidya Priyanka, and I am addicted to chocolate every morning in front of my mirror. And I realized that it was the greatest, most beautiful positive affirmation that commenced the journey. But by day 12 or day 19, I don't remember which now, because after that it's all a blur. You're on a hiatus of something that has consumed you, of course, right? Now, around day maybe 17, 19, I'm not sure, I changed the way I said that. My name is Vaidya Priyanka, and I'm on a chocolate moratorium. That way I did not feel deprived. I felt powerful. And then, by day 36, 37, I told myself, my name is Vaidya Priyanka, and I am greater than a piece of chocolate. Then by day 50-ish, 55-ish, I told myself, I have conquered you. And let me tell you, I really played this game real hard. Some of the chocolates that I absolutely love, I would place it in my car, but I would not eat it. It's such a tease, you know, it's such a tease. I can't tell you what type of a tease it is. And I would place it in my refrigerator but not open it. I'd keep a bar right next to me in my consultation room. Like, you know, like I was keeping a pet dog that I had to look at. But I can't have it. And you know, have you noticed when I stopped wearing watches in life is when people started giving me watches as gifts. And when I was on this chocolate moratorium, people from everywhere decided to fine-tune my skills at a moratorium by embellishing my life and my landscape of the chocolate world like Willy Wonka. All of a sudden it was raining chocolate. And before I could realize, there was everything, chocolate. Like I was not even doing chocolate flavored shampoo or chocolate fragrant shampoo. I was not doing a chocolate face mask. I was that level of chocolate extremity, you know, like I really was thinking to myself, I cannot do chocolate and chocolate cannot do me in any way. So even though I normally like to put that melted chocolate mask on my face, which is good enough to lick, right? I said, no, my face can do without extra moisture. I don't need this chocolate face mask, you know. And I was teasing myself right through. I even got myself a chocolate perfume so that I could satiate the need for chocolate in my life by smelling that perfume. Then after about day 50 or so, I even quit the chocolate perfume. It smells great, by the way. Joe Malone makes it. It's delightful. I had to do quite a bit of research to find out where I can find a chocolate perfume because, you know, but surprisingly, Google has given us that other people have also looked for this in the past because it melts it up automatically. So you're like, you're not alone in this crazy world, right? So what I learned from this real grueling thing is when I finally had that one piece of chocolate the day I ended my moratorium, it felt like chalk. It felt like chalk. It didn't do anything to me. Now, what I do with chocolate is I use it as something that I credit myself for once a month. And I told myself it's always going to be once a month, as long as I should live. I don't have a requirement or a necessity for something to run my life for me, especially if it can't even talk back. I mean, I can understand if I found this piece of chocolate that was whispering sweet nothings in my ear and roomy poetry, then it would have an advantage. But this doesn't do any of that, so I don't need it. Adieu, you know. But to say ciao in Italian is both to say hello and goodbye, right? It's like mahalo. It's like saying hello and love together. I realized that chocolate was speaking sentences to me. It appeared in my dreams. It appeared in my nightmares. It appeared everywhere. And, you know, even clothes, right? My mom knows I was on a chocolate moratorium. She brings me a scarf from some remote country in a chocolate-colored fabric. I'm like, Mom, really, seriously? And she said, yeah, only now I remember the moratorium. Oh, I'll take it back. I said, no, it's a nice scarf. She says, you should wear it and still not want to eat chocolate. Only then you're a true success. I'm like, thank you very much. I mean, she normally would never get me a chocolate anything, you know. She would say it's too close to black. But she said, it's so beautiful, you just have to have it. Of course I had to have it, because I'm on my chocolate moratorium. Very celebratory. We like it. Right. See, the other thing I noticed, which are the advantages of giving up chocolate, my confidence in myself increased. I really felt like, you know, I'm much bigger and better than this. I can do it, you know. It felt really nice to have the push. And it definitely improves the quality of your skin, believe it or not. Your skin starts glowing from the inside. I did prick tests. I'm not a diabetic, but I did prick tests. And I noticed that my sugar, which is already extremely low, is like 60 something, right? It went down to even lower. My blood pressure, which is normal, then lower. I just gave up chocolate and nothing else. Like everything else, just the way that I normally eat. You know? And I noticed another wonderful thing about this whole relationship with food, which I've always known. A friend of mine called Das was one of the people who introduced the poetic and spiritual nuances of food in my life. The dancing with the spices was introduced by my grandmother, and the combinations was introduced by my mom. As I took form and rooting into that knowledge of Ayurveda, something delightful happened to me, which was a truly transformational experience. I realized that when you are sincere, protective, and honorable towards your spices, they will definitely heal you. Or else they just create flavor. Handling your spices with care resulted in a completely different dimension of my cooking. And thus was formed Cuisine, which is authentic, universal, and meditative. I wanted a type of cuisine that the entire world could call its own, rather than say, oh, that injera from Ethiopia, that dosa from India, or that macaroni from Kraft, or the pasta from Italy. I thought we need to create a food which completely created this beautiful sweetness about what food really is, what it is meant to do, how it is supposed to satiate you, fulfill you, create the deepest sensuality, and a lot of pride and appreciation for your body with every morsel that you ever shall eat. With Cuisine, we encourage local produce, things which are within 50 miles of where you live and work and cook. So that can change differently based on the directions and the seasons and the water and the trade winds and the salinity of the soil and all of those other beautiful components of growing your own food. And something even more remarkable about local food is the components which are taken to tend to that crop by farmers who enjoy doing it, thereby encouraging organic small farm produce as opposed to the big guys. Then it came to me that there is very beautiful knowledge and nutrition that came from other parts of the world which are very important for your sustenance, because we have to take the best from the world if you're going to be creating a universal cuisine. So then welcomes the mata rice from Kerala, quinoa from Peru, sometimes from Bolivia, soba noodles from Japan, green tea from Japan or China, goji berries from the Himalayas, macadamia nuts from some valleys and islands of Mexico and Hawaii, avocado from all over the world, which was raised locally. You know? So the species could come from anywhere, but it was grown locally. And then automatically I noticed that I was creating a blend of local, organic produce intermingled with science and gifts from the world. And then soon we had in front of us not just a story, but an encyclopedia. Your food became a conversation with yourself. It was not just a whisper, it was not just a statement, it was not anger, but it was a very well-written chapter. Our food is always presented well. Sometimes it is just in bowls. And then I realized quantity is very important. Most people don't know how to eat here. When I first came to America from England, I was shocked because one of the entrees that I had in this restaurant, I could have had across 3 meals. The croissants are bigger here than in France, and I lived in France for many years, and I've never seen a croissant that big. And bigger is not better. Bigger is probably better for their business, but it's definitely terrible for your body. Every time you receive a meal at a restaurant, always take half of it and ask them to bag it. And take your time eating the other half. You'll be satiated just as much with half the calories. And the doggy bag could be a meal for another doggy or, you know, yourself or whoever, but at another time. Your stomach is a J-shaped organ. There is absolutely no necessity to make it an O-shaped organ. And alphabets apparently in this retreat have been very important. And this wonderful J-shaped organ and the process of digestion commences from your mouth and finishes with your feces the next day. If your digestion is optimal, you will have a fecal movement at least 2 or 3 times a day, and in fact that is good, as long as the stools are well formed. For that to happen, I started encouraging people to give up on cereal-based carbohydrates and use them only minimally. And we started encouraging carbohydrates from vegetables. We started focusing on raw vegetables, semi-cooked vegetables, and cooked vegetables. We started creating wholesome, non-time consuming one-pot meals. we started flavoring things with universal flavors as opposed to just flavors from one part of the world. Now, if you're an Indian, you liking Indian flavors is no surprise. Okay? If you're Japanese, you liking Japanese flavors is no surprise. But if you're an Indian, and for you to really want to have Japanese flavors, it just shows that automatically there is evolution. There is more universal acceptance. Without a problem, we accept music from different parts of the world. We accept food from different parts of the world. When you tell yourself, no, I'm Indian, I have to have only Indian food, you are restricting. You're automatically creating an unnecessary shield around you, which is not required. It takes away from you. It takes away from your core. It completely takes away from what you can be by way of your digestion. Remember, we are all a better person if we've had a good bowel movement in the morning. And I don't mean to sound crass in any way, I'm just telling you because that is true. That is in fact one of the most important things. We do not want to approach or take on the next day, which is in front of us, with the remnants or the excreta of the previous day living inside our bodies. You will be a different person once your toxins have been eliminated for the day. A very defined sense of being comes over you just with that process of excretion. Then it came upon me that timing is a big deal. Time to pick up your produce, to thus look for the quality of produce. Time to cut your vegetables. Time to prepare. The time to eat and the time to digest are all important. Since we are looking for the component of time, we will now talk about the component of space. When you're eating, you don't have to be so full that you feel you're going to roll over your stomach and that topple might actually result in your demise. You should eat only until you are 2/3 full. You need to have that space of 1/3 in your abdomen so that everything that you've consumed can in fact keep moving around. When a meal has been prepared for you lovingly, it is noticed in the taste all the time. The reason why mothers are such good cooks is because there's a lot of unconditional love there. And the focus, unfortunately for some mothers, however, is to make things tasty rather than nutritious. We had no problem with that in my house. There's no issue. It was always nutritious first and then tasty was a bonus. But have you noticed sometimes when you're preparing meals for people that you really love, there is a tendency to want to prove yourself in a certain way. So you want to add some sure shot ways of putting in that extra dollop of ghee or some silly thing like that to make your food tasty, because you want to be accepted, right? I have no such problem. I don't care. I'm like, my focus here is to make sure everybody is healthy. You're not getting that extra dollop of ghee from me any day. If you're having a ghee craving, you'll have to lick it off my lap behind me. Then the concept of water came in. Many don't drink water because they think, oh, water. When I'm thirsty, I will know, and then I will drink. When your body is thirsty, it's already the last way it is informing you to say, please drink. To resolve this matter, I filled my copper jug at work with water and kept extra additional bottles on the side. if you know you have to consume 3 liters in a day, and keep it in a place where it is visual, you will consume it. Many people don't drink water because it's not handy. If you keep it handy, you will drink it. And sip water all through the day. It is not considered bad manners. In fact, it is such a beautiful thing that it might become addictive for another person. Now the purpose, however, you do not want to drink water right before your meals, and you don't want to drink water right after your meals. Give it at least 20-25 minutes before you can drink water, because you don't really want to dilute the food that you've just consumed. And water needs to be as room temperature or warm or hot as possible, and not cold, because your body is a hot-blooded body. You're a warm-blooded creature. So you don't want to shock your system by having something cold. And the other wonderful thing about water is that if you sip it all through the day, it will not tax your kidneys. If you drink water all of a sudden, it is very, very taxing upon your kidneys and several other internal organs that don't like the gush of water like that. Whenever you are drinking water, if it is not from an open cup and if it's from a bottle, please make sure that the cup is secure, that you actually put a lid on it. Don't keep an open water bottle. If you keep an open water bottle, the chances are several organisms can come from the environment unnecessarily and play with your immunity. Your relationship with food needs to be an extremely sacred one. Food needs to be something that you look forward to but are not obsessed with. If you're obsessed with a good meal, you start having the hibernation mechanism where you start eating way too much just because the food is available. The way to end that craziness is not to make food and keep it as individual dishes on your table. It is to already pre-serve the meal, as we have done during the retreat, and that's all you get. There might be more, but you don't get it. The other little note to yourself about spices and condiments is that you have to find your tribe in your spices and condiments which are in tune with the seasons. There will be some spices which are good for each season, which in fact are better for you, the taste of which you like better. Then keep them as your favorite fried spice and keep it with you at all times. My purse is like a room on wheels. Nowadays it's looking like a kitchen on wheels. I have little things that I carry with me and I dispense it. In fact, I tell them, don't put salt in my food when they prepare food and I'm eating it outside. I salt my own food. I put my own churna on it. You can make a lot of people curious. And that ripple effect of curiosity regarding food is one of the most basic needs that all of humanity is here for. The reason we all earn money and do things is because finally you want to have your basic essentials, and one of the biggest components of it is you want to make sure your hunger is taken care of, right? Now your relationship with food needs to be like a partner. As an equal partner. The best marriages in this world happen with two independently happy people, two independently spiritual people, and then so when they come together, there is even more joy, even more love, even more togetherness, even more all of those things. I don't believe in, I'd like you to meet my other half, like they say in India, my other half, or my missus, or my better half. Seriously, it sounds like a half-baked cookie, and the dough is not even tasty. The thing with most of us know with cookies is that you either want to have the cookie dough or you want to have the full cookie. This half-baked cookie is no fun. What is this other half and the better half? It's nonsense. You really want to be in that together relationship, forceful. That's the best relationship, best marriage. So if you're having a marriage with food, you're both independently happy people. The food is happy being it, you're happy being yourself. But when you come together, there is magic. So you don't want too much of food because then you're being an unequal partner. Right? So you want to have equal participation. So if you think of your portions of foods that way, automatically will reduce. Then going back to our point earlier today, if your body is a sacred place of worship, littering should not be prohibited. Like littering should be prohibited. You will not have any type of packaged foods and other toxic substances and things that you are allergic to or intolerant to be put back into your body. And we are, in general, hunter-gatherers. You can't tell me, oh, I can't find gluten-free this, so what, then don't have it. And believe me, people, there are lots more gluten-free options now in today's world than there was, 25 years ago when we all started to embark on this hydrolyzed anti-wheat journey. Filled with the GMOs and other toxins. We don't do all that stuff. Now you're lucky that people understand the word gluten. Even now when I speak to some audiences, they're like, gluten? What's that? Quinoa? What's that? I'm like, hello, where have you been? But at the same time, information should be taught with the same level of patience and serenity to people who have not been exposed to that knowledge. And as Gautam, referenced yesterday or earlier today, it was yesterday, if you did not know that you're making a mistake, it won't have such adverse effects on you. But if you are doing your knowledge, then you'll have even worse aspects, because deep within all of us are very accountable, real, honest, trustworthy people. So our subconscious is still beating, After all this conversation about anti-microwave, if you go back home and still use your microwave, there is something in you that is going to be like, oh my God, I should have done it, but hey, this one time is okay. What are you doing there? You're creating adjustment. Do you want to live a life of fulfillment or adjustment? Do you want to create excuses? Or do you want to create experiences? Do you want to create honor? Or do you want to be a beach bum? That's on your plate, and that's absolutely your choice. The Vedic texts say that there is a quality in each of our foods, which brings us to the topic of the three gunas: Rajas, Tamas and Sattva. That in collaboration with your three doshas, which is Vata, Pitta and Kapha, give you a perfect blend of what you as an individual require in order to enhance yourself. There is not one set list because there are so many permutations and combinations. your relationship with food needs to engage all of your five senses. Each day, every mouthful. It's much better that you don't rush and eat a meal. If you don't have the time to eat, don't eat. You'll be better off that your body will be grateful. But a meal needs to be eaten in a relaxed manner, sitting down and not standing up. Sitting down either on the floor or on the table, it's fine, but sitting down. Like we discussed, even animals, they go on the prowl, they get their prey, but they're gonna come, sit down, relax, and have a meal. If animals do that in the wild, what is our problem? Think about it. Animals do what needs to be done to make sure that they are well. Is there an animal hospital in the wild where, Dr. Lion is in session? Not at all. So when an animal falls sick, by itself, it takes its time and heals. It does not go out in the fray, does all these nasty things, it sits down, relaxes. Soon it gives rest to its system in the form of some fasting. And it's good to go again, being the majestic lion that, he was meant to be. When you are sick and you're still eating, you're going to make yourself way more sick than you ever imagined. And usually you make yourself sick not because of salmonella food poisoning, but because you're eating too much food. Small portion. You also have to remember that the way that you display your food in front of you needs to be like you're watching a rainbow unfold on your plate. It has to be a treat to your senses. Use plates which are solid colored in any color of your choice, which showcase your food accordingly. Learn to use chopsticks. You will automatically eat slowly. You want to make sure that you don't store your food for too long. That you eat within 2 days of preparation at the most. In my ideal world, food will last only 6 hours. Because after that, the wonderful life force, the prana, or the chi energy, or the ki energy that resides in it starts going down. You have to take the time. If you take the time, your body will be immensely grateful. Maintain a food journal. And what the food journal should read, as an example, would be 4 a.m. I'm just saying, reading mine, okay, so we'd say 4 a.m., hot water, and lemon. Then it'll perhaps say 8 o'clock, bowl of oatmeal with strawberries, blueberries, and ginger. 10 o'clock, organic red apple. 12 o'clock, bowl of quinoa, steamed vegetables, coconut gravy, green peas, side raw radish salad with lemon and cucumber, and tahini dressing. 3 o'clock, a handful of soaked peeled almonds, a couple of figs and a prune, light vegetable broth for dinner, around 6:37. And that's it. But you should also have another column which says emotion. So the emotion that you are feeling at the end of the day or during the day while you're consuming these things. So soon you'll be able to devise a personal pattern of what you were feeling. For example, after you eat lunch in this one, crazy Indian restaurant, and at 3 o'clock if you're feeling bloated and sleepy, obviously that's something that's not doing well for you, right? But you might not remember that unless you hold yourself accountable in the form of food journal. So it works really well. So to be able to write that down. And also, we are going to be looking at what is considered your relationship with food in a very precise way. A lot of people have really horrible eating habits because it comes from a memory of the past. Maybe when you were going through a really tough time, this particular food offered you comfort, or so you think. So it's always your go back to option, and soon it becomes an addiction and you don't even know it because you have labeled it in your head as not an addictive substance but comfort food. So that is something, with your relationship with food. The other aspect of your relationship with food is that the herd mentality. Oh, everybody is doing goji berries, so let me also do goji berries. One size does not fit all. For goji berries to offer, as an example, optimal nutrition to you, you should be a meditator every day, perform yoga every single day, and fast with just water twice a week. If you do that, only then do goji berries really help you. Now, the argument can be but that doesn't mean goji berries is bad. Yes, goji berries is not bad, but why eat something which is not giving you optimal nutrition? Not required, right? Then, when you think of goji berries, some people, I'm going to make a snack with goji berries, pumpkin seeds, because I've been told that both of them are good. But do you know if both of them are good together? Or even if they're good together, are they good for you? You need to understand that even if you're a twin, you are an individual. Your prakriti is as unique as your thumbprint. There cannot be anybody who has the same sets of crests and troughs as you do in your thumbprint, So, do things which are gorgeous for you. That's why I enable all of my patients to create this open communication. You create an entire list of foods that you like to eat, and we reply back to you saying yes, no, or maybe. And if it was maybe, we'll tell you how many times a week, which will help you devise what you can in fact eat without making hasty, unnatural, or by far stupid decisions. The other thing with your relationship with food is if you take shortcuts, you're shortening your lifespan. Do not force your beans to cook in a pressure cooker because that is unnatural. Yes, it perhaps takes lesser time, but if you do it on an open pan, after you've soaked the beans overnight, it cooks just fine. You really want your beans to be hydrated, plumped up, before you can start cooking them. Do things which involve natural processes. I'm not asking you to go out there, collect your wood from the local trees and then make your fire and thus put your pot on top of it, and then it's not all that, but it's more, let us live with the modern times but hold on to fundamental rules of creating your food, which is genuine and real. And thus then it will automatically be robust with flavor and nutrition and health and everything else. And last of all, before you commence eating, give yourself a moment to give thanks. And bless your food while doing so. With these aspects, your relationship with food will be a very lasting one. The problem with addictions is that you're going to have to give it up sooner or later because of an unnecessary health condition. So much easier to have small bits of your favorite indulgence all through your life as opposed to finish it all in like 10 years.